What's going on, guys? We're back with another Tower of Fantasy video. In this video, we're going to showcase Claudia. We're going to go over her best team comps, what kind of matrices you want for her, how exactly she's played, and all of that good stuff that you will need to know to play Claudia. Now, to begin with, let's go ahead and start off with her skill 1. Her skill 1 makes a little star right here. It does 5 slashes. If there's 5 different enemies, it will hit 5 different enemies. If there's only one enemy, it will hit that same enemy repeatedly. And then after that, she'll do one last big slash. Now, something that you could note is that you could actually dash out of the slash, so you don't have to stay animation locked. If you dash out of it, jump out of it, attack out of it, it will still do that final hit. So do not worry about trying to stay in for that last slash. It will still activate whether you stay there or not. Now, if you look at her basic attacks right here, she's not really too crazy on her basic attacks. Her little dash attacks right here are pretty basic as well, nothing too flashy. So the way that you're going to be doing damage with her for the most part is by using your skill 1 and then simply swapping out into the next unit. Unfortunately, this is going to be the best way to play her. If you're close to getting a discharge, you can go ahead and keep attacking to finish the charge. However, if you want to keep using her as a main DPS on the field, I found the highest way for you to get damage on her is by using her aerial string. If she's in the air, she does a quick little attack like this and follows it up with that one giant slash downwards. That giant slash downwards is what will do the most damage, so make sure you're building good crit on her, because if that last hit crits, it does a ton of damage. If it misses a crit, unfortunately it does a lot less damage. So building crit on her is going to be very, very useful. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and go over her stats and her advancements. So to begin with, let's start with her Grievous ability. Her Grievous ability is one of the best debuffs in the game. It gives an extra 20% damage for 7 seconds. And with Claudia, she has a really high charge rate right here. So she builds up that discharge really, really quickly and keeps that Grievous on them very often. So you'll be getting an extra 20% damage almost at all times with this Grievous debuff. Now, her first she also has the physical resonance right here, so you're going to want to have a Shiro on her team if you plan on using her as a main DPS. However, if you don't want to use her as a main DPS, or if you don't have Shiro, then you could also use her as a support unit, just like Tsubasa would be used, after you get her first advancement right here. Her first advancement is a stacking 8% buff that lasts for a total of 25 seconds. In order to stack this buff, you either use your skill 1 or you use your discharge skill. Both of those will add a stack. So with Claudia, she can build up her discharge really quickly. So you could use her skill 1, which only has a 15-second cooldown. You can then discharge almost immediately afterward to get a second stack on there. Wait a little bit longer, your 15 seconds should be up, and then you'll go ahead and get that third stack. And keeping up this buff is super easy as well, since it lasts 25 seconds and her cooldown is 15 seconds. It'll be a pretty much consistent 24% damage boost for all elements at all times, which is very insane. That means you can actually use Claudia on a non-physical team if you would like to. However, do keep in mind that she will not be doing as much damage because she'll be missing out on that physical resonance buff. Now, her second advancement is just an attack growth. Pretty good, can't complain about that. And her third advancement is a debuff called War Wounds. What War Wounds does is basically another Grievous, but only for physical weapons. War Wounds is a 10% debuff on the enemy that makes them take 10% more damage to physical and physical shattering abilities for 15 seconds, and it is placed on them exactly the same way that her first Ascension's buff is activated, which is using her skills or discharge. Now, her 4th star is just HP growth, nothing crazy. Her 5th star is hitting targets with skills or discharges grants skill damage boost, which increases all weapons skill damage by 20% for 25 seconds. So this increases all of your skill 1s and lets you do even more damage with that. And her 6th star makes it so when you use your first skill, it will stack another war wound, and it will also not have reduced damage. So basically all this is saying is so what does that mean for what you want to summon for? If you want to summon for her, I recommend getting the first advancement, because then she becomes a lot more flexible and a lot more usable. Without this first advancement, you're going to be missing out on 24% damage pretty much at all times, which is huge. So make sure if you're summoning for her, you at least get that first advancement. It's very, very important. A 24% damage buff to your whole team at all times is very huge, and you don't want to be missing out on that. Now, with that said, what kind of team comps are we looking at to build with her? Well, you could build the physical team comp. The physical team comp is simply her and Shiro, sorry. Shiro is basically a staple on her team because there's no other physical units right now. So the third slot could be whatever you want. I like to use a healer for my third slot, so I'm using Coco myself currently because I do not have my Nemesis starred at all, and I have my Coco with a star. And Coco, I think, synergizes very well with the physical team because of her first advancement right here, which gives extra charge points for 25 seconds. That means you're going to build up that discharge even faster. You're going to be putting on Grievous even faster. You're going to be switching out weapons a lot faster. So that makes this team very, very quick to get out lots of discharges and to do tons of damage. Now, what kind of matrices are we going to be looking for on Claudia? Now, the kinds of matrices you want are DPS ones or some support ones. If you don't have too many SSR ones, I actually like this one right here, Pepper's Armband. Pepper's a very good matrice to have on her because it will increase the speed of obtaining weapon charge by 10%. And like I said, that's going to be one of your main playstyles for playing her, is building up that discharge as fast as you can, and then swapping weapons, discharging, swapping weapons, and discharging. So if you don't have too many 5 stars, this is a good option for a 4-star. Another good option for a 4-star is the Sobek. Sobek just is a flat damage increase, so that's always good for all units. I was using this one for a little bit. I thought Echoes would be very good, but the weapon charge that is granted is actually very low, so it's not really worth it. But this is also something you could use if you don't have anything else. But the main matrices you want for the late game and the end game is a Crow matrice, because remember what I said, you want to get that crit damage as high as you can to get that big damage on that last skill 1 attack or that last auto attack string. And the other one you want is Samir. Samir just gives you a nice flat 10% damage boost. So those are going to be all of the matrices that you're looking for on her. That's going to be the team comps you're looking for her, and those are going to be basically everything you need to know with her. Now let's go ahead and showcase a little bit of her fighting style and her gameplay. So we'll head on over to the edge of this cliff right here, and then I'll show you guys exactly how you might want to start playing her. Now the cool thing about her is I love doing this. I like to dash off the edge like this. Now we'll go ahead and attack these enemies down here so we don't have too long of a fight. So the way that you're going to want to start with fighting her is simply just jump in the air and start attacking like this. This will give you that big slash right there. As you saw, it did a big 9k, even though it's resisted, so it would have done like 18k. So that's going to be her main attack string herself. However, that's not going to be her main way of playing. Her main way of playing is going to be like this. You're going to be using her skills to dash around. You see how fast it builds up that charge already? You get that charge built, and then immediately you're going to swap over into Shiro and discharge with Shiro. With Shiro, then you're going to use her skills and blast out as much damage as you can. I like to then swap over to my healer real fast to get that little B out, get my healing going, and then continue my charge right here with this weapon, and there you have it. It's fully charged. Now we will go ahead and swap back into Claudia to do a nice discharge there, which gives me another stack. As you see, my 15 seconds has already returned, so I can then go ahead and use it again and then jump in the air on this guy and then start slamming him, and now my discharge is up again, so I can go ahead and discharge once more. Now that I'm on Shiro, I can start doing big damage. Shiro does actually a ton of damage, and if you don't want to be using Shiro for attack and you have a weak Shiro, you could even swap back you could go ahead and swap into your staff. At this point is when it's a small little lull period. And then once you got your discharge back, you want to swap back into Claudia, use your little quick burst again. And as you see, we don't have our charge quite yet, so this is when we go in the air and start attacking them in the air. And then we'll build up that charge real quickly, as you saw. And then you just swap back into Shiro and do the same thing. So that's pretty much the gameplay style, is just try to build up that charge, try to build up those discharges, and while you are not fully charged, jump up in the air and do your attack string in the air, as that does the most damage and builds up your charge very quickly. Now, that's basically the way you play Claudia. That's going to be the whole entire guide. Let me know down in the comments below if this helped you out at all, and if I missed anything, let me know in the comments down below, and if there's anything I can improve on for the next character guide, let me know that down below. I'm still getting the hang of all this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
The sky beneath to see